This question is actually very difficult to answer in just 3 or 4 minutes, but I'm going to do my damnedest to give you an answer. Thanks for the question. Very good question, by the way. So the way I approached my kids was like this. Right now I have 2 kids living in my home. The other 2 are either grown up or living with their mom. And so I took the kids that were living with me and I sat them down with a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old girls, actually. And I just told them, look, you know that to this point I've always been completely honest with you about where I'm at and what I believe to be true. And I've always been willing to give you the evidence or the reasons or the rationale for what I believe. And as they already knew, I had spent years doing this, and they went on this journey with me. They were living out Christianity and Torah living with me. So they were very well aware of this fact. From there, I just basically explained to them, I'm kind of giving you a condensed version, but that in keeping with that honesty and with that truth, we have to be honest with you now and tell you that the more I've searched this out, the more we've come to understand that there's things in the Bible that are not true. There's things in the Bible that we believe are immoral. And most importantly, it's not historically accurate as a true testament of what actually occurred. We talked about the evidence against Jesus Christ as, of course, as a son of God, and then evidence against him as an actual living person even. We talked about the problems with the apostles, the problems with Paul, and of course we talked about a lot of the moral problems with the God of the Old Testament. And it was very, very easy actually for them to understand and see very quickly why these things were problematic. It was important to remind them that we've always told them the truth as best as we understand it, and we're going to continue telling them that truth as best as we understand it forever. And this is where we're at, and this is why. And I'm sorry that we were wrong, in our opinion. And I'm sorry that it was kind of a weird, uncomfortable life situation we had for the last several years. But essentially things are going to be different around here, and hopefully different for the better. My kids just asked a couple of basic questions. They already knew that I was kind of like, I'm kind of a contrarian to an extent. They already know that I look for problems. They already know that I pissed off half of the religious community in Christianity, even just by teaching Christianity the way that I did. So they were well acquainted with me having like unique views about theology and Christian doctrine. I think for that reason it was easier for them to adapt once again to a new way of thinking. But essentially the first thing they did was just ask some really basic questions like, so does this mean that Jesus wasn't real? Does this mean that we don't have to do the Sabbath on Saturday anymore? Does this mean that we can eat pork now? They were just asking really simple, basic questions like that. Of course, I told them, yeah, we can do whatever we want to on the Sabbath now. We can have it a family day our way instead of the Old Testament God's way. We can eat pork, of course, and shellfish and anything else that we desire to eat, as long as we think that it's still healthy stuff to eat. And honestly, their response was very, very, very good. They were quite excited about this. They were excited about the idea of having a little bit more freedom, the idea of being able to maybe like play games that I wouldn't let them play, or even watch Disney movies that I wouldn't let them watch, and things like that. They were excited about this new transformation because to them it meant more experience, a more diverse range of friendships, and a diverse range of entertainment and education and all kinds of things. So my kids were actually pretty happy about it and very excited, and they flipped on a dime, honestly. And that's coming from a background of years of being very religious and being very obedient and respectful towards me the entire time. So yeah, it was kind of a nice relief for me to lay that on them and see that they were actually relieved with me, and it didn't hurt them or confuse them, and they were actually quite excited. So over the next coming weeks and months, they'd ask more and more questions here or there about this or that, and I'd answer those questions as honestly as I could. And it has literally never been a problem. It was only ever a positive thing for us and our family. So I can't guarantee your approach will be the same, and I can't guarantee that the response of your children will be the same. But that's the approach I took. That's the response I got. It was really good. And to this day, I think that it has built more trust in our relationship, that I was willing to tell them that I was wrong, that for so many years I studied, and I was getting it wrong. I think me telling them that and explaining to them what I think is right now really helped them build additional trust. It didn't tear it down at all, actually. So I just wanted to alleviate those concerns, give you my experience. I try to keep it under 3 minutes. It's impossible. This is a 5-minute video now. But thanks for your question. Hope that helps, and best of luck to you.